This is question 117 from section 1.5, complex numbers. The problem is located on page 139 of your text. The directions for this problem are: solve the following quadratic equations by the quadratic formula, simplify the solutions and write them in a plus bi form, or in other words, your complex number form. So question 117 reads as x squared minus 2/3 x is equal to negative 2/9. So I would imagine that the reason why this question was posed is because you have a lot of rational values here. So what I would suggest is you do have the ability to clear these out. Okay, so one of the first things that we want to do is make sure that one side of this equation is cleared. So I'm going to add 2/9 to both sides. This gives me x squared minus 2/3 x plus 2/9 is equal to 0. Okay, I also want to make sure that this is written in descending order, and it looks like I've done that. Now, notice that we just want to write this so that we can clear out this denominator. So we have a common denominator between 3 and 9, and your common denominator then would be 9. So what I would go ahead and do then is I can multiply each term by 9. This is going to allow me to cross-cancel everything out. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. I'm going to do 9 times x squared minus 9 times 2/3 x plus 9 times 2/9 is equal to 9 over 1 times 0 over 1. I know that it's kind of redundant to multiply something by 0, but just to give you the full-blown detail. So as you can see here, I'm going to end up cross-canceling here, and I'm going to be left with a 3. These 9s cancel out entirely, and we can go ahead and rewrite this and clean this up. So now I have 9x squared minus, I have a 3 times a 2, so that's going to be negative 6x. The 9s have canceled, so now I just have plus 2. And lo and behold, 9 times 0 is, shocker, 0. So now this probably looks a little bit more familiar, maybe less threatening. I don't have to worry about denominators. I've cleared everything out. I haven't changed the intrinsic value of the problem. I've just basically molded it or manipulated the outer shell, so it's something a little bit more comfortable to work with. So from here, we just go ahead and I would use your calculator application because you guys have done this so often, why not? But for the sake of this video, I'll go ahead and identify that my coefficient for my A is 9, B is negative 6, C is 2. And if you recall, if I'm solving using the quadratic formula, you have negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. Okay. Usually what I would suggest doing with these problems, anytime that you're working with a standard formula, is to write out the general formula with each problem. It's kind of like muscle memory. You get a little bit more comfortable realizing where each piece of the formula is going to go, and therefore you're helping yourself to not stumble through or kind of forget what the formula is. Just because there's a formula doesn't mean that you should rest on your laurels of that there is one. You still have to get used to working with it, and you need to understand the structure of it. So from here, we go ahead and we just kind of plug and chug. So we have negative, and then our b is negative 6. And then we fill in everything. So we have negative 6 squared minus 4 times 9 times 2 all over 2 times 9. And then we continue to solve this. So we have a negative 6, so that becomes positive 6, plus or minus the square root of 36 minus, and then 4 times 9 times 2 will give us 72 all over 18. Continue to clean this up, 6 plus or minus, and again, you guys don't need to show all of these steps, but just for the sake of this particular problem. So we have 36 minus 72 gives us negative 36 over 18. Now what we do is note here that you have a negative, and this is a perfect square. So if we were to go ahead and take care of that, we would do the square root of 36 is 6, and then that negative, if we take it outside of the square root, becomes I, or our imaginary number, which is the square root of negative 1. And we have that all over 18. So you might notice that you do have 6, 6, and 18. These are all multiples of 6. To reduce it, if you need to, what I would suggest doing is take it out of that shorthand. And now you would write it like so, and then reduce each term. So as we can see here, these will reduce down to a 1 over 3. This reduces down to a 1 over 3. So our final solution will be 1/3 plus or minus 1/3 I. Okay, and that is it. That's your solution. If you have any questions or need further assistance, please come see me during office hours.